to make it tonight to it. So welcome everyone to the pre-secondary town hall. My name is Mike Hughes, and my partner Jim Kelly and I are co-directors of the St. John's Summer Programs. You have a great program in place for you tonight, as you'll get a chance to hear from admissions, from administration, and from the teachers of the program itself. In store for you. So without further ado, I turn you over to Mr. Alex Zakara. He's the headmaster. No doubt you have heard from him before, but he will lead us off with prayer and some words of wisdom. So Alex.
Great. Well, thank you, Mr. Hughes. I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity to say hello to everybody and to welcome you to this virtual meeting in preparation for our summer of preparation. And I'm just really grateful for the work that Mike and Jim have put together, have done over the last month or so to get this program off the ground. And we're very excited for what this summer holds, and frankly, also very excited for what the fall holds as we welcome your students to St. John's and to begin that process. It wasn't too long ago that I was getting my freshmen ready to go to St. John's, who now just finished up his freshman year in college. And he had a great experience at St. John's, due in large part to some of the folks on this call, including Mr. Hughes, who we had for religion in his sophomore year. You know, some of you may know that I worked at a middle school prior to coming to St. John's 4 years ago. And one of the things, and there were a number of students from that school who would come to St. John's after their 8th grade year. And it got to the point where we basically required them to attend the pre-secondary program at the school. And as I'm sure, the same way that you're thinking about what the summer might look like, you know, we were talking to those families about getting accustomed to St. John's, getting accustomed to the teachers, getting accustomed and starting to build connections and relationships with those other students. And clearly that looks very different this summer. But again, this virtual platform gives us an opportunity to still be able to connect. And when I was talking with Jim and Mike, as we were talking about this position and this opportunity to work at St. John's in this capacity, I said to them, one of the main goals that we have to have in the summer program, whether it's the pre-7th grade or the pre-9th grade, is for these guys to connect with each other and to connect with teachers who we know every day work hard to know, love, value, and challenge our students. So I know that's been a priority in conversations with the teachers, and I'm confident that these students, even on a virtual platform, are going to be able to make some of those connections that are so important and such a hallmark of St. John's. So as we begin today, we begin, as we do all things at St. John's, in prayer. And I'm sure that many of you share in my feelings and in our feelings that the summer was much needed after this very, very challenging spring. And while the summer may look different, there are still many things about summer that we can appreciate with our immediate family. And a lot of it has to do with the many blessings that we have with great weather over the summer and great time with family. So that'll be the theme of our prayer today. So as we begin, as we do all things, in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Dear God, let us revel in summer. Let us soak up the long days and warm sun. May our feet walk on sandy beaches and our heads rest on thick grass under blue skies. May we listen to and marvel at the singing of the birds and stop to watch blissful children at play. We pray in a special way for the St. John's Summer Program, for the students and families that are beginning their journey with St. John's in this wonderful opportunity to connect with other students and to connect with great teachers who are going to work hard to make sure that our young men are ready for the summer. We ask you to continue to bless Mike and Jim in their role as leaders of this summer program, and to bless all of us as part of the St. John's community. This summer, God, may our breathing slow and our hearts open. God, help us to be present to all that is so, that we may best see all that might be. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. So I want to thank you again. And I also, I can't go without mentioning how grateful we are in the partnership with Notre Dame Academy and Venerini Academy as we launch this very different summer. You know, I'm excited. I shared with the 7th grade families that were on a previous call that while we very much value the face-to-face instruction, and thankfully, I'm sure many of you have seen the guidance, the initial guidance that has come out from the state, where we are preparing ourselves to a return to face-to-face instruction in the fall. But this, virtual platform also gives us great opportunities to access more families and families who maybe aren't in Central Mass. I've shared already that I have 2 high school friends who live in Fairfield County in Connecticut, and they have sons who are participating in the St. John Summer Program, which wouldn't have been possible unless we were virtual. So, make sure that you share this opportunity with other families and with your family that may be nearby or far away. I think it's a great opportunity to really engage in some exciting programming. So I'm going to take my leave from you because I have a repair person here in the house that's taking care of something for me, and I want to make sure that it's being done well. And I hand it back over to Mike and Jim. And I wish you the best of summers. I wish you a wonderful time in our summer programming. And most importantly, I continue to hope and pray that all of you, your loved ones, and your friends and family are all well during this time. Okay, take care and God bless.
That's great. Thank you very much, Alex. Thank you very much. And Alex, I'm not sure if you remember, but we were fellow 9th grade parents when his son and my son were on the same soccer team. So I do remember that leading in. All right. So without further ado, Director of Admissions, I think many of you will know Justin Smith, but I turn the program now over to him.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. So it's been a couple weeks, guys, since we saw each other last in the meeting that we had, few meetings that we had about some of the offerings in the fall, athletics and in the arts and science, as well as campus ministry and some other things. So it's good to see some familiar faces. For those of you who have your cameras on, I like that. As I said then, I say it again now, it's very purposeful that you're not hearing from me very much anymore, or from Mrs. Bourget or from Mrs. Wenzel. You guys are part of the family now. And as students at St. John's, you're going to grow to build more and more connections with our faculty and our administrators and our staff, many of whom you had the opportunity to meet during those online sessions, and you'll continue to meet this evening and also in the summer. So I'm grateful to know that there's an interest for this program. I think it's going to open up a lot of different opportunities for us to broaden our reach in the community, as Mr. Zakara said, even I guess regionally as well. It could not be in greater hands. Mr. Hughes and Mr. Kelly have been very successful with our students in the past. Especially in their summer program that they did kind of independently, but to take their entrepreneurial minds and astute acumen, if I can, Mr. Hughes. You're still on mute, but that's okay. And
I would say that's excellent SAT vocabulary right there. Well done, Mr. Smith.
I'm very excited to see what they have done and what they will do for this program. And this will probably be the last time that you'll hear from me before the summer. So how you choose to spend it, I wish you all a very relaxing and restful summer as we prepare for, we hope, right, full in-person instruction in the fall. But we shall see how that goes. Thank you.
Great. All right, thank you very much, Justin. The next part of our program turns to the teachers themselves, giving a sense of the program, its overview, and a brief introduction to themselves as teachers. And I'm personally very excited, as you have both colleagues of mine, teachers of my own sons, and a partnered school teacher from Notre Dame, and former students of mine, who I also coached in soccer. How you doing, Patrick and Matthew? Who are now English teachers as well. So you'll see in them, where a St. John's education can lead as well. So if Chris Benestad is here on the call, I would probably have him lead off.
Mike, I think we're gonna skip Chris, have him last. So if we could go to Jerry first.
Sure. Jerry Taylor, if we could ask you to just say hello and give a sense of yourself and your class.
Hello, everybody. Do you want me to just start right in, Mike?
Sure. Yes, please.
Okay. I'm really excited to be teaching the pre-secondary program at St. John's this year. I'm a St. John's graduate myself. I graduated in 1974, if you can believe that. Probably taking a look at me, you can. And I taught at St. John's, taught math at St. John's for 30 years, retiring in 2014. I've been involved with the summer program for a number of years. This will be the first time online, but I have done the pre-secondary program for a number of years. And I'm excited about teaching the rising freshmen because this course, to me, is a very important course. If you're going to get anywhere in math, you need the basic fundamentals. And a lot of times people will ask, well, what do you mean when you say fundamentals? I've had a lot of parents ask me when I talk about fundamental skills, what that actually means. Well, it means fractions, being able to add, subtract, multiply, and divide fractions, add and subtract positive and negative numbers, work with functions, talk about slope of a line, solve linear equations. All things of that type are very necessary to be successful in math as you move on. Being a teacher at St. John's for a long time, I taught some very, very intelligent students. I taught AP Calculus 1 and 2 for quite some time, and I had some of the brightest, Mike's son being one of those. But I taught some of the very brightest, and although most of them could grasp the concepts of the calculus, they always couldn't get necessarily to the final answer because their very fundamental skills were very weak, probably because they were so good in math, they didn't really pay too much attention to them. So this is a course that will certainly develop those fundamental skills. And I think it's, it's extremely important and extremely useful because they're going to get off to a good start. I'm teaching the 4-week program, and we'll cover 3, maybe get a little bit into a 4th chapter. So they'll be able to get off to a real good start. Whether you're good in math at this point in time, you're probably a little bit rusty because you really haven't been in class since March. And if you're not so good in math, it'll help develop those fundamental skills that I talked about. So I don't want to go on forever, but I'm really excited about teaching the program. I've always loved math, and I'm very excited about teaching students. I always loved teaching, and be able to do that this summer is I'm very, very pleased for that. So thanks a lot for listening, and I'll say good night to everybody.
That's great. Awesome. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you very much. And again, if anybody has any questions as the teachers are talking, feel free to enter that into the chat on the side. Okay. So I think we'll turn our attention as well next to Chris Benestad. Chris is a math and an economics teacher at St. John's and an elite marathoner. I think it's fair to say that I can say that of you, Chris. So Chris, if you're there, you might speak.
Yep, now. I'm here. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you, Mr. Taylor, for introducing the pre-secondary algebra class. He said he's been teaching there a long time. I think between the two of us, we have over 50 years of teaching math at St. John's. Mr. Taylor and I have been colleagues for a long time, and so it's really a pleasure to have him on board again and to teach with him again. And also Matt Flowers, I think I taught Matt a while back. Yes. And so it's a pleasure to be on board with some of these guys, and Mr. Hughes and Mr. Kelly are working very hard to give you guys a good program. Just try to be very brief here and not overdo what Mr. Taylor already did. One of the things that we're going to focus a lot on is teaching the kids how to use a program called My Math Lab. And My Math Lab is used now starting this year in all St. John's math classes, and is used in many college classes as well. So it's something that these students might be using for a very long time. And so that's going to be the online program that we'll be introducing them to, and it comes with the subscription to a Pearson program that goes along with this textbook. So we'll get them how to use that, and also try our best, right? Because a lot of what the summer program is all about is introducing them to what it means to be a St. John's student. And that's going to be very, very hard to do when we're not on campus and we're not seeing each other every single day face to face. But we're going to do the best we can. Like I said, all of the teachers in this program know the school very, very well, and we're going to try and introduce the culture of the school to them the best that we can. And that's what I really look forward to doing, because I think it's a great place to be. I think this school has so many wonderful things to offer. And if you allow yourself to take part in all those things, you'll have a very, very wonderful experience. So to those boys out there, I really look forward to getting to know you and introducing you to the culture of our school. to become a St. John's man. So welcome, and I really look forward to meeting you all in class soon.
That's great. Thank you very much, Chris. I think at this point I'll turn to our two grads, Patrick and Matthew. So I think I'll go with Matt first, just to be alphabetical about it. And I will say this: they are not only both class of 2012, if I'm not mistaken, but they were excellent soccer players on my freshman soccer team when I was coaching the freshman soccer team back in the mid-2000s. So I'm excited for this year's soccer program as well. And you'll get a great view, folks, of what St. John's can be. So Matt, turn to you.
Sure. Thank you for the introduction. So I graduated back in 2012, and to my recollection, I think I had every single teacher who was involved with this summer program during my time at St. John's. So it's truly a pleasure to be back working with them and with the St. John's community. All of my brothers went to St. John's as well. All of them played soccer, and we all had absolutely tremendous experiences. One of the big highlights for, my own St. John's experience was the relationships that I built with teachers, many of whom are actually even on this call, that allowed me to grow into who I am today. After I graduated college, I taught high school for a number of years in Boston. I currently teach middle school in a public charter school in Boston as well. The ELA course for this summer is meant to review and also strengthen some of the core ELA skills that will set up your son for success when they arrive at St. John's in the fall.
Awesome. Thank you, Matthew. Patrick?
All right, so to add on to what Mr. Matthew Flowers has already said, so I am also an alumni, graduated in 2012. I went to Assumption College in Worcester, double major in English literature and secondary education. After I went to Assumption, spent a little bit of time at a few different high schools in Central Mass, and I'm currently working at a middle school, Fuller Middle School in Framingham. And I have a long history of Zavarian brothers blood running in my veins. My dad moved to the States from England back in the day, and he actually went to a Zavarian brothers sponsored school in Manchester when he was growing up. So I've kind of always had some of those Zavarian values instilled in me. And I'm really excited to be working with some former teachers and Mr. Hughes and Mr. Taylor, and to try to, show how much my St. John's influence formed me as a teacher, and how much the teachers there also formed who I am, not only as a teacher, but as a person. To add a little bit on to what Matt said in terms of specifics, some of the things we'll be talking about include literary terms, how plot functions and doing your typical plot diagram, covering certain parts of speech, how characterization works in terms of a couple of different books that we'll be looking at, starting off including The Boys in the Boat and also Moon is Down. But we'll be getting more information to you about that in coming weeks, I think, as well. But overall, really excited to be working for the program, and thanks for the time.
Yes, excellent. Thank you very much, Patrick. So yes, The Moon is Down will be the chief core of the text, and then The Boys in the Boat is something that will be introduced and supplemented, especially in the 4-week program. So David will be teaching the 2-week program, and Patrick and Matthew will be teaching the 4-week program together as a team-taught class. Okay, so without further ado, David Christie is a veteran teacher at our partner school, Notre Dame Academy. He's also a parent of a future St. John's student. So he's eager to be in the program. This is his first year of involvement, but I've certainly enjoyed getting to know him and see in him the same thing I'd seen in Mr. Zakera when I saw him come on board as well with his own son. So without further ado, David, I turn it to you.
Hi, everyone. So my name is David Christie. Nice to see you all here today. Mr. Hughes kind of said a lot of what I was about to say, so I'm probably just going to repeat a little bit of
Sorry.
that. I've been teaching now for close to 3 decades. I just realized I probably should not have said that because that's really dating myself. I've been teaching high school, and I've taught at all 4 grade levels in high school during that time. As Mr. Hughes said, I'm currently at Notre Dame Academy, where I teach seniors and freshmen. Before going to NDA, I was at a private school in Brookline, just outside of Boston, for almost 10 years. And before that, I was at an international school outside of London for close to 15 years. I have ties to Worcester, however. I'm a Holy Cross grad, very proud of that. And then I completed my master's in English Lit at Berry College. I'm an avid reader, absolutely passionate about literature as a means of communication and artistic expression. I'm also passionate about grammar. I'm definitely a grammar nerd, and I also love looking at what clear, effective writing really means. Outside of the classroom, I'm the father of 3. All of them are at Venerini right now. My oldest and youngest will hopefully be at St. John's soon, and my middle child will hopefully be joining me at NDA. I really look forward this summer to working with your sons as we think about some effective study skills and solidify some basic grammar knowledge, some close reading skills involving literary terms and looking at how various devices make literature work and come alive. And we'll also be looking at some of the rudiments of effective writing about literature.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much, David. And as a fellow grammar nerd, I can share with you a quick story. Was Mr. Kelly's, one of his many cousins, finished as a PhD in English. And somebody once said, well, what do you do with that? Well, he went out to a little company in Seattle and he helped clarify their business communications. And that company is now well known to you as Microsoft. So he was one of the first employees and finished his career as a vice president of marketing for Microsoft in regular meetings with Bill Gates. So if you're on there, students, you're wondering, why should I know good grammar? What does good, clear English have to do with anything? Well, just ask someone who ever reads poorly written English what the heck that was trying to say. So, all right. So thank you very much, David, and I look forward to sharing summer with you and with all of the teachers there as well. At this point, I want to open up to our emerging leaders presentation. So in addition to the coursework that we have designed around math and English, we also have leadership, and leadership's at the core of, I think, what a St. John's education is really all about. Mr. Renju Paul is a member of the campus ministry department, and without further ado, I'll turn it over to him.
Thank you, Mike. Hi, everyone. My name is Renju Paul. I'm a campus minister, as Mr. Hughes said, and a theology teacher at St. John's High School. I'm excited to teach a course on leadership this summer. The title for this course is Emerging Leaders, Learning Leadership. I have been teaching for past 12 years. I've taught and worked in almost 7 countries in different roles, and mostly as a social worker, minister, chaplain, campus minister. So what I bring to these 2-week sessions that I offer is different styles of leadership that I've learned. I'm also a candidate for the doctoral program at Boston University, and I'm focusing on transformational leadership. So I'm a bit biased about what kind of leadership that I want to focus on. During the course of during this 2-week session, to the students who will take this course will have a better understanding of definition of leadership, its associated knowledge and skills. They will have a better understanding of the comprehension of the concept of leadership and the varied leadership theories. I'll be covering 5 leadership styles that you can see around the world that is very successful: authoritarian leadership, participatory leadership, delegative leadership, transactional leadership, and transformational leadership. The last one is my area of focus in my doctoral program. I will be also introducing the students to different skills that would make them great leaders. I'll be talking about helping the kids to identify ways in which they can create a goal setting, decision making, time and stress management, communication, working with others, conflict resolution. I'm throwing out so many subjects and themes in there. It's all related to what ways in which you can make yourself a better leader. When we look around our community, you see people who are well respected, revered upon, successful people, and we wonder, what makes them special? What makes them being looked upon, revered upon? So through this course, if you want to be one of those people, if you want to be a successful leader in the community that you live in, this is one of those courses. I urge you to consider signing up for this course. If you decided not to, you'll end up actually in my theology class. I teach freshman religion. Whatever be the case, I'm here to help. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Again, I'm excited to be offering this course to you all. Thank you.
Very much, Renju. I appreciate that. I can also say that my own son, who went on a leadership retreat this past year with you, learned a lot, and he's becoming quite the young man that we hope him to be. So I look forward to his senior year under your tutelage as well. So at this point, I've been addressing some of the questions that people have asked, but if you feel like we haven't yet gotten to it, we will take them up in at the end of the whole presentation. But I'm trying to address them along the way as we go. At this point, I will turn it to Mr. Jim Kelly, who can speak to the registration process, the pre-9th, and navigating the website and kind of showing you what else is in the program. So Jim, at this point, turn to you.
Great. Thank you, Mike, and thank you to all of our presenters so far, and welcome to all of the families. And I'm just going to spend a few minutes here just kind of speaking about the details of these courses and what's really available. Really, with the pre-secondary courses, there are a lot of different options. So I'm going to try to make sure that is clear. I'll be presenting my screen real soon. But before I do that, you'll notice on our summer program online catalog, I think we have over 40 courses. And almost every course, and one of the major themes of this summer is that the courses are really open to everybody now. So students from all schools, private schools, public schools, home schools. We even have some programs from grades K all the way through adult. Almost all of our courses are remote learning. However, if you look in the athletics part, many of our summer athletic camps, they are live on campus, in-person camps, okay? They are either held on the campus at St. John's, or they're held on the campus at Notre Dame. And again, I will just kind of speak to all those, whether you have other children in other schools or other grades, or you have friends, and we would be very happy to have you, take a look and see what other courses are there and what might be something that could be great for those kids. Now, specifically though, for tonight, we are talking only about rising 9th grade students. So we've really tried to highlight the pre-secondary program, as well as Mr. Paul's Emerging Leaders program. And the reason is because those are the few courses that are for St. John's students only, okay? So we really want to spend some time only on those. We also set it up that the pre-secondary program goes from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and our leadership course is from 1 to 4. So we really wanted to make sure that students could be able to participate in both. Last summer, that was one of the main. I'm just going to ask here. I know, Mike, maybe if you could go on mute, and just if there's anyone else, just while I'm talking, just to make sure everybody can hear well, just to have everybody on mute. Last summer, one of the big feedbacks was from the freshmen from last summer. Many of them took the pre-secondary program from 9 to 12. Then they would head over to the cafeteria, have some lunch, and then they would do the leadership course from 1 to 4. And a lot of great positive feedback there. So obviously this year, the lunch will, you'd be at home, but, we wanted to make sure that your son could take advantage of both the pre-secondary and the leadership. So without any further there, I'm going to present my screen, and I'm just going to walk you through some of the details for how this works, okay? Okay, you should be, at this point, you should be seeing my screen. Michael Hughes, could you please speak up and just let me know if you are seeing my screen? Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to take everybody here to the St. John's Summer Program website, stjohnshigh.org/summer. When you come here, you'll see all of the courses that are available. As you scroll down, the first set of courses are called our pre-secondary courses. So there are numerous options here, and I'll try to be clear. The first thing is our full program. So I want to try to address that. You have two options. And when we say full program, it means you're going to learn English and math in the same class. So every single class you take, you'll get English and math. Okay, so the class goes from 9 to 12. If you're doing the 2-week program and you're working with Mr. Benestad and Mr. Christie, they will split their class in half. So your son will do math with Mr. Benestad, say from 9 to 10:30, and then he will be switched and he'll be doing English with Mr. Christie for the second half. You know, you can expect they will give them a short break in between the classes, okay? And that will be true for the 4-week program or the 2-week program, okay? You might be in the other half of the class will do English first in the morning for the first half of the class, then they'll switch and they'll get their math for the other half, okay? So when we say full program, you're getting both math and English here. Now, first, you can do a 4-week program, okay? So you're going from 9 to 12, Monday through Friday for 4 weeks, okay? So you're getting your hour and a half of math and your hour and a half of English every day for 4 weeks. So that is the first option. We also wanted to make it available. We know people's schedules, you know, are all different. So we wanted to make sure that we also offered a 2-week program, okay? So you have 2 different sessions here for the 2-week program, okay? So the first one will go from July 6th to July 17th. Again, you're going Monday through Friday over those 2 weeks from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. You're getting an hour and a half of math, an hour and a half of English, okay? If you'd rather the last 2 weeks in July, you would choose session 2, all right? So those are your options there for the full program. We also wanted to make an option there for people who, for whatever reason, decided they want to do only English or only math. And so the answer is yes, you can do that, okay? So I will click on here the English only. The math only is the exact same thing, okay? So if you want to do English only, you can. And again, you can choose between, you can do it for 4 weeks or you can do it for 2 weeks. And again, for the 2 weeks, you could either do the first 2 weeks of July or the second 2 weeks. And so the way this would happen is we would fit you into the English class that is going on anyway for the full program, all right? So if you're in a 2-week program, you would be with Mr. Christie for English, and you would either go into the 9 to 10:30 slot of English, or we would fit you into the other slot of English, which is 10:30 to 12. I should mention here, if when you are registering, what's better for your family is one of those slots, you know, if you'd rather be in the 9 to 10:30 slot, we're happy to accommodate you. So we would ask that you email Mr. Hughes and I, so that's sjsummer@stjohnshigh.org. So you can say, you know, we just registered my son for the 2-week English only program. You know, we would love it if you could have him in the, you know, 9 to 10:30 slot that better fits our family. So absolutely that is an option, okay? And so the same thing is available for the math only, okay? So if you say, hey, you know, we want to do it, but we can only do the pre-7th math, but we are available for the, you know, for the 4 weeks, you could do the 4-week math, you could do only the 2-week math, whatever is better for your situation, okay? So if and when you are ready to go, you will click here. It says click to register online. It will bring you to the registration page, okay? And here you will see now all the different options that you have. So you can take the English only. Session 1 means it's the first 2 weeks. that would be, you would choose that. If you wanted, also, you know, again, you could email us if which time frame you want. Do you want the 9 to 10:30? Do you want the 10:30 to 12? If you don't tell us, then we will fit you in wherever we think is best. If you'd rather session 2 English only, there you go there, okay? If you want the 4-week option, but it's still, again, English only, this is where you would choose that. You would have Mr. Flowers and Mr. O'Donnell there, okay? If you're now looking for math only, there is your 2-week session 1 with Mr. Benestad. If you want math only again, session 2, there it is. If you want a 4-week version of math with Mr. Taylor, this is your option here, okay? So we do the English only and the math only first, and then down here you'll see the full program options, okay? So you have a 2-week full program. This is where you're getting math and English every single day, all right? Session 1 is the first 2 weeks of July. Session 2 is the next 2 weeks in July. So again, your child has Mr. Christie and Mr. Benestad for an hour and a half every day. If you want the 4-week program of the full program, so your son would get math and English every day for the full 4 weeks, that is this last final option here, okay? So I said a lot, but I hope you were able to follow that. The final thing I'll do here is I will scroll down. If you go all the way down to the word more, that is where you will find Mr. Paul's course, which is, we should be seeing it right there. So it's called SJ Emerging Leaders, Learning Leadership. So that course goes from 1 to 4. Session 1 would be the first 2 weeks of July, if that fit your schedule better. If it's better for the second 2 weeks of July, you would choose his leadership course, session 2. And again, that leadership course is only for St. John's students. They can be in 7th grade, 9th grade, 10th, 11th, 12th. But again, it's only for St. John's kids. Okay, so that's a fantastic course, and we hope that you strongly consider that as well. So Michael Hughes, I'm going to stop here. I'm going to put it back to you. I know we're going to be leading into our final Q&A session. And also, if any of our presenters, if anything kind of jogged your brain about what you'll be doing, you'll have a chance here to also add anything more there. Okay, I will stop here.
Great, thanks. Thank you, Jim. So again, the courses that were just presented are the ones restricted just to St. John's students. So the Emerging Leadership will be open to both 9th graders, incoming 7th graders, and students of any grade level. So your son will also, if doing that class, get to know some of the students at different grade levels. And actually that is one of the highlights, I think, of a St. John's experience. We really don't lock them into one grade. They form friendships across graduating grade levels. So that's certainly to keep in mind. All the other courses are open to both boys and girls of the appropriate age for that course. So again, your daughters, your nieces, your cousins, it is a wide open program this year, available to students and adults and alumni all across the country. My mom wants to take the birdsong course, and she lives in Hanover, Germany, for instance. So we'll see if we can arrange for the euro payment on the online feature, but we'll see. Maybe I'll give my mom a discount. I'm not sure if that's if that will work here.
That is unacceptable, Mr. Hughes. Unacceptable.
Okay, that's right, Jim. That's right. That's why we're a partnership. Okay, so we open now to kind of questions. If you have, I've been trying to address any of the questions. I see Mr. Benestad and Mr. Taylor. They've addressed some of the questions of people in the chat. You're welcome to scroll through that as well as you see. If something jogs your memory, we can shut up now. And if you want to turn on your mic if it's been muted, feel free to ask verbally any questions. Okay, we'll take them written or spoken.
And if any of our presenters want to add anything, you can also feel free to, chime in.
I see Leslie Corliss just asked the difference between the 4-week courses and the 2-week courses. Is it just content? Is it pace? What might be the distinction there, as you teachers have been talking about?
I can speak to that, Mike, if you want.
Yeah, please do, Jerry.
It's obviously very similar. I mean, it's the same textbook and the same math, but in the 2-week program, you probably only do the first couple of chapters, where in the 4-week program, you continue on, maybe even get to chapter 4. So it's just more material. It's the same material, but it's more material. And that's about really the difference. I hope that was a good enough explanation.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. How deep do you want to be, prepped to go into that freshman year? It's hard enough making transitions when you have that kind of heads up on it.
It's a huge help. In past years, I've had kids when I was teaching at St. John's and teaching the summer program that would come to me later on, as freshmen and say it was very, very helpful to them. So I know it is.
It's great.
I'm just going to add on to that. So I've been a math teacher for the past 18 years, and I can tell you how important their freshman math course is. I've been in public school, and whether it's Algebra 1, which is most of the kids, but some will also be Algebra 2. Getting that strong base in your freshman year math class, it is paramount. For the kids I have, and whether it's a pre-calculus course, a geometry, a calculus, anything, if they had a strong foundation in their Algebra 1 or their Algebra 2 freshman year, and when they're working with Mr. Taylor and Mr. Benestad, they're going to walk into their freshman math class already, I don't know, maybe it's a few weeks, maybe it's a month or so, just kind of like ahead of where the curriculum is. And that is just invaluable. Okay. And then also, just to add on to Mr. Benestad, for them to now become familiar with the My Math Lab, which they'll all be having to do when the year starts, I think that's a huge aspect here also.
Yeah.
For the ELA, and Mr. Christie, please feel free to add on to if I'm missing anything or for any clarification. It's a mix between depth and pace. So for both the 2-week and the 4-week course, we will be looking to read the entirety of The Moon is Down by John Steinbeck. So in that sense, perhaps the 2-week course may have a quicker pace. And then perhaps the 4-week course could then maybe offer the opportunity to go a little bit more in depth with some particular issues and skills.
Yeah, that definitely sounds exactly what I'm thinking about. I would love to get through all of The Moon is Down. I can't promise we're going to be able to get to The Boys in the Boat in the 2-week course. We will, the pace for the reading will be a little bit faster. I have to say that what happens in the class is also going to depend on the makeup of the class, the needs of the class, where the class seems to be headed right from the very moment we start those classes. So, I know this might not sound like the most satisfying answer, but it's a little bit to be determined based on the needs of the group.
Yeah, and I can address it too as a veteran teacher and as someone who sees students at the upper level in the SAT courses that we've been doing, is that the core skills are developed regardless of text. So I know that what the English program is hoping to accomplish is to strengthen the muscles, if you will, of reading and writing, which are essential to every course you do, whether you're in science, whether you're in economics in later years with Mr. Benestad, whether you're doing a business ethics course with me. I need students who can read well, think clearly, and write cogently. So the core skills that you're developing here, the ability to write a short paragraph, the ability to digest a text, get to the core intellectual concepts, and then connect them out into the real world. Those are the core skills that translate across the curriculum. So think of this as a kind of general health course. Even though we're calling it ELA, it's really designed to cover the core skills that become essential in every discipline. Reading is fundamental to success. So that's my sense of the value of the course. All right. Great. Okay. Colleen, I see we addressed a question for you. One other feature too, I think we might mention here is that you will be getting visits as the course progresses, and built in throughout the program, where upper level St. John's and Notre Dame students will be available as teaching assistants. So some of the programs you'll hear about later as you enter the halls of St. John's, the Big Red program, P Cubed, right? One of the features and hallmarks, I think, of both schools is that the upperclassmen feel excited and engaged to be helpful to the students at the next level. It's not like the school where I went, where once you got to 12th grade, you got to bully everybody, down below you. The real spirit of service and community is alive and well. And that's really the family feel that is built into these, to these schools and the schools that have chosen to partner together, Venerini Academy, Notre Dame Academy, and St. John's. So I think as your students become a part of that and sample, another course that just is driven by their interest, athletics or arts or whatnot, you'll find that that's woven into the experience in the classroom. So Michelle, hopefully that addresses your question about engaging students in virtual methods of instruction. I know that Pioneers Online this spring was a rich amalgamation, if you will, of one-on-one instruction, of small group sessions. I know we're going to be using the Zoom feature and that Google Meets like we're on now throughout the summer and into the fall. We'll be building in those subgroup, small group sessions. We're also going to use technologies like Padlet, of shared document, shared writing experiences. And the My Math Lab, for instance, has chat rooms and partnering groups and assessment features that are built right in. So you're really going to get a kind of soup to nuts. It's not just going to be like substitute teaching. Here's your document. Good luck. Here's a Khan Academy video. Jim and I have seen over the years that, good teachers matter. And we've done a lot of work to really put some great teachers in front of your sons and all throughout the program. So I know I'm personally excited to bring great teachers, all five that are here today and all six with Mr. Paul bringing the leadership in. My own son had Jerry Taylor freshman year, Algebra 2. And, Jerry, I said it to you privately, I'll say it publicly. You helped light a fire in my own son that led to him being the valedictorian, in the class of 2016. And, you spoke kindly and highly about him. I'll say, I saw what ignited in him in freshman year with that first math class is still burning bright. So, I just wanted to thank you as a dad as well. So.
Thank you very much, Mike. I had to stay on top of my game just to stay ahead of him.
I do too, every day. He's far surpassed me. That's the beauty of fatherhood. You get outpaced in all the things, and that's what we wish for our kids.
He definitely made me strive for excellence.
Yeah, that's great. Well, you pulled it out. You pulled it off. So thank you. Awesome. All right. Well, I'm just, cognizant of your time as well. So obviously, if you have any questions for us or for the teachers in the program, for now, you can send us an email at sjsummer@stjohnshigh.org. And we'll be answering your questions. But this live session, I think we'll bring it to a wrap unless people have any particular pressing issues that are on their mind. Okay. So you're welcome to say goodbye and wave off. And if not, we'll stay on the call for another couple of minutes. Okay. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you to the presenters and the teachers. Thank you to Jim Kelly. It's been a pleasure getting this plane up in the air. So we are ready to launch as we approach July 6th. So thanks, everybody. All right. God bless. All right.
Take care,
Amen.
everybody. We'll see you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.